Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Lone Oak Farm for the final day of winter. And it'll be a little bit of a transitional day for us today. We'll try and get some work done and we'll also be swapping out some bits of equipment and trying to get prepped for the start of spring where we can really start seeding and getting our new crops into the ground. So we're starting off here inside the garage because I am in the process of fitting a gooseneck attachment to the back of my pickup truck. You can see I've got the truck backed up to the frame here, and we're going to get that bolted and welded and fitted to the back of our pickup. We've already replaced the American Bandit trailer with a gooseneck trailer that is waiting for us to collect from the store, so we'll go and collect that in a little while. What I've also done is I have also swapped out our subsoiling cultivator from Stara. It's 5.6 meters. It was useful but not wide enough, and given that we've taken on 5 new fields over the winter, we need to be able to get those ploughed as quickly as possible. So we sold that off, and you can see here we've now got this wonderful 8.5 meter plough from Case as part of our equipment to replace it. So that'll help speed up turning over our fields and getting them all prepped and ready. We're also in the process of making sure that the last of our equipment goes through its repair windows and carrying out the maintenance we need on things like the sprayer, and we'll have to do some repair work on the stuff at the sheep farm as well. Plus we need to take care of our sheep as well. If you take a look, you can see they're very, very low on water, running low on hay and grass, and we need to make sure that they're taken care of. So I'm going to get this fixed onto the back of the truck, and as soon as that's done we'll go collect our gooseneck and head over to the sheep farm where we can take care of those animals over there. So there we go, just raise the back of the truck up there. Got the tailgate closed again. You can see it's all bolted and welded into place. So let's go and collect our gooseneck and make our way over to the sheep farm where we can get them fed, get them watered, and make sure that they're in a nice healthy position ready for tomorrow, which will be the start of lambing season. So we'll be able to start getting some additional sheep bred on our farm, as well as a nice good production of wool hopefully as well. We're getting into kind of like the money phase for the sheep. Their value is starting to go up, and in a couple of days they'll be at their most expensive in terms of purchase price, and also at their best in terms of a retail price if we want to sell any as well, which we're not going to do. We're going to keep the numbers that we have. So it's been a little while since we've been on this farm. I delayed the release, having finished recording part 1 of our winter. I delayed releasing that for a few days to try and allow for time of the Geo to come out, the Northwest Oregon Geo, and it didn't. So I then recorded the second part and then held that back for several days, again hoping that the Geo would be released, and it wasn't. And then finally the Geo got released on Monday. So that means I can actually come back and start recording for the first time in over a week on this farm. So we've kind of really slowed progress down a lot. I mean, it was kind of helped by the fact that we squashed 5 days of winter into just 2 episodes. But now that the Geo is out, we are able to come back and really crack on with work on the farm. So we're going to go back to episodes every couple of days and really start making some good progress into year 2. Which is right around the corner. You can see we've got the forecast up for the next few days. The ground has actually unfrozen now. We've got ground temperatures of 1 degree, so we can actually start ploughing our fields today in preparation for the start of planting tomorrow, depending on ground temperatures. And I'll show you the Seasons Geo layout in just a second. There's not huge differences from the Italy Geo that we were using previously. It does enable us to be a bit more generous with certain crops because the weather system is changing a little bit. So I think we're going to get less snow and we'll get a lot more water during spring and possibly autumn, but the summers themselves are supposed to be quite dry and hot. So it should be a very interesting switch for year 2 with this new geo. So let's get our gooseneck connected up. You can see the shutters are down. Sam has actually left the office and closed up shop for today. He's off in Salem dealing with some local suppliers, and he's also looking at a new piece of equipment for me as well. So hopefully we'll get some more progress on that soon. And I am hoping, if I can, to get a surveyor out today to come and have a look at my new plot of land where I want to build my orchard. I'm hoping he can come out and do a quick survey of the ground itself to see if it's suitable for building a shelter on. We'll be fine in terms of planting trees, but it's whether the ground is going to be structurally sound enough for us to actually construct a shelter that isn't going to collapse. I want to make sure that we can build strong enough foundations on that little building. So hopefully we can get him out today and do a quick survey of that ground, see what kind of building we can actually fit there and what sort of size we can fit in there, and then we can start planning out how we're going to build our orchard. But we're just going to park this just here. We'll leave the gooseneck here as we did with the American Bandit trailer, because this is primarily where it's going to be needed. What with our wall pallets and everything. So lights were off. Okay, so let's get the door open, and you can see, if you spot it straight away, the Bobcat got an update as well. Our wheels automatically changed to black wheels, as opposed to the red wheels that they wear as default. Now, the Bobcats had some new options with it, so you can now have tinted windows instead of clear windows. In terms of wheel options, you can now have standard, which is with the red rims. You get black rims, which are an extra few $100s, but ours would change to black automatically. I think you can get white rims as well. You can also remove the beacon, and the beacon itself has gone, as you can see from the roof of our Bobcat here. So we've got this black roof with a grate and a sunlight now, which we didn't have before. I'm pretty sure we had a white roof and we had that beacon, quite a big beacon on the top there. That's gone as well as part of the update. Plus you can also change the tracks on this, so you can have it... Actually, no, yeah, ours had tracks, didn't it? We had Caterpillar tracks on this, not wheels. So it's actually changed our wheel type to wheels as part of the update. That's I hadn't realised that at first. I thought we had red wheels, but we actually had tracks, and the tracks have been replaced with black wheels. So you can buy it with tracks as before, but you can also buy them with orange tracks as well. Perhaps more suitable for forestry. And you can also get, instead of Caterpillar tracks, you can get tracks that go around the wheels. So these work in the same way that the tracks on the Ponzi Scorpion do. You have the wheels, and then you have tracks that wrap around those wheels. And that is now an option for these Bobcats as well. So quite a lot of optional changes that were brought in as part of that update. Just clean up their mess. Tip that back in. They're going to need a bale as well, and we also need to make sure that they have plenty to drink as well, because they are getting very, very thirsty. So let's drop the bucket, pick up our bale spikes, and drop a bale in there for them. And I actually think this is probably slightly easier to control with the wheels in this tight area than the tracks. The tracks did seem to sit a little bit wider than the wheels do. So I might leave it like this rather than putting the tracks back on again, because we're probably going to have to pay for the tracks again. Although it may give us the option to put those on for free, because we did buy them on the previous version. I don't know, just the fact that they changed the tracks to black rimmed wheels suggests that maybe we might have to pay for them again. I don't know. But there goes the bale. So that's the food trough taken care of. Let's fold up the spikes. Grab our 1455 attached to our water trailer and make sure that they have plenty of water to drink as well. And then that'll be our sheep taken care of. Just hook the bucket back up again. I do feel like this spins a little bit tighter without the tracks. Or a little bit faster. Maybe not so much tighter, but faster. There we go. And let's jump into the 1455. I wonder if we have enough water in the back of our trailer or whether we're going to need to top it up. Let's find out. Oops. So there we go. We caught them in time before they started suffering in health. They were 82%. They have ticked up to 83, which is quite nice. Slowly still recovering from that massive amount of health that they lost when we forgot to feed them last time. Don't want to do that again. And we'll get that part back in here. And we'll make sure that one of the boys comes out and actually maintains these pieces of equipment today. Get those fixed up so that they've got no mechanical issues going into year 2. So let's park our gooseneck where the bandit was. The other thing about having this gooseneck, it doesn't allow for a tighter turning radius, which is kind of cool, kind of useful. And another great feature of the gooseneck, despite the fact that it's bouncing around and feels a little unstable at times while it's not loaded, is you can actually put sidewalls on the gooseneck as well. So if you wanted to transport a vehicle, you can actually put little side retaining walls up on the side of the trailer before you hook it up. And then when you drive the vehicle on, it stops it from sliding off the side. I mean, it could still possibly slide off the back if you're too violent with the acceleration and the braking. But the fact that it won't now slide off the side when you go around a corner a little bit too fast is brilliant. Love that. That's absolutely fantastic. And there is our gooseneck clamp. Just there, our little hitch point. So, yeah, really, really like that little new mod from Black Sheep. That's absolutely fantastic. But now it's time for us to head back to the main farm, grab the Magnum, and make a start ploughing our brand new fields. Okay, so back at the farm, let's get the shutters up and grab the Magnum. We're going to need the Puma as well, because we don't just have cultivating to do, we have, ploughing to do, we have cultivating that needs to be done as well, because we've got rid of our 2 seeders that were sat there, the main one being obviously the Pronto, which was a direct drill seeder. We didn't have to clean the fields off after the last harvest, but now we do, because now we have the Great Plains YP2425A to help speed up the process of planting itself, but with an 18.2 meter working width, so double the width of our Pronto. But unfortunately, it doesn't direct drill, so we need to make sure that the fields are definitely cleaned off before we can start planting, which means not only do we have to plough our new fields and get them prepped and ready, but we also have to clean off the fields that we didn't have time to work on before the ground froze up. And we do have, I think, 3 fields that need some cleaning in that respect. So actually, no, we'll leave the plough out because we're going to use that, as I say, with the Puma. So we'll get the Puma up and running in a moment, but we're going to take this and get this dropped off where we need it first, and then we'll grab the Puma, get the Puma up and running with a worker, and we'll do some manual ploughing. And it'll also enable me to kind of give you a quick breakdown of the new geo layout as well. So in terms of fields that need to be cleaned off, it's our soybean fields that need to be cultivated and cleaned. We're talking fields 48, 49 and 45. Those fields all need cleaning. We'd already cleaned off field 35. We've got oilseed radish on field 30, so that's going to need cultivating as well. And 32 and 33 we have already cultivated as we join those together. and then we're going to be ploughing and then cultivating on fields 51, 53 and 54. So we may as well get started here where we need to. Let's get the worker out and running. Start cleaning up the remains of the soybean stubble. And here is our awesome new plough. So this cost us 80,000. We were able to recoup around about 18,000, 1/8, for setting off our Star subsoiler. But this thing's quite wide, as you can see when it's opened out, 8.5 meter working width. When it's folded up, it still is wide enough to take up the entire road. So we actually transported this to the farm in the early hours of the morning to have, you know, as little an impact on local traffic as possible. But it is very, very big. So what I'm going to do, just to get us started, is I'm going to do a headland at this end of the field, and we'll probably have to do the same at the other end because of the tree cover. And this is just because we're so close to the fence there. Let's get some lights on so you can see. And this is a really, really nice plough. 8.5 meter working width, as I say, can run at 9 miles an hour, but it is expensive at 80,000. And on top of that, we need 340 odd horsepower to pull this thing. So the only tractor that we've got that can work this, you know, really, you know, at a suitable kind of speed and performance is our Magnum. You know, we can't use the Puma with this because that maxed out is only 270 horsepower, and this needs an extra 70 or so on top. So it will probably pull it, but incredibly slowly, and that's no use to us at all. So we're going to stick to what is going to work. So let's get this lined up. There we go, and I'm just going to hire a worker for a moment so I can pull up the seasons overlay for you and show you the new geo. So here is the planting window for our new geo. Not much has actually changed. A few things have changed just a little bit, but you know, I was quite concerned that we would potentially lose the first few days of spring, you know, with a possible geo change. And it turns out that, you know, those fears have been, you know, put to rest. You know, I could have actually started using the season, you know, started, you know, year 2 with the North Italy and then switched over, but it made sense to me. It made sense to wait and start year 2 with the correct geo, seeing as I knew it was on its way and would be with us soon. So that's why we slowed down progress on those winter episodes a bit. You know, they were ready days and days before they actually got released, just because I was trying to space out time over the winter period for the geo to be released. And now it's finally out, we can get back, as I say, onto our regular recording and releasing schedule for these episodes. So you'll start getting, every couple of days you'll start getting a new Lone Oak episode, which is good. That's what we wanted. And as you can see, not much has changed. So these crops, they've all got the same sort of standard kind of temperatures. You can see there is a little bit of movement on the planting schedules to what we did have before. Interestingly enough, look at the planting windows for wheat, barley and canola. The actual planting windows carry on into winter. So that suggests that the ground might not freeze up for parts of winter, if not majority of winter, and that we could actually plant, you know, partway through winter as well if we wanted to. It's very interesting. I have to see exactly how that shakes out when we get round to winter time next year and see what the temperatures are like in the first couple of days of spring. But we need to do some manual bordering at this end of the field as well. Let's get those lights back on so I can see what I'm doing. And of course, these bits of the border that I'm doing here, there's no crops on these, so we'll get no fertilizer bonus on these bits. But where you can see all that crop is planted, that being cultivated and ploughed into the soil, into the ground, will give us a free stage of fertilizer. So that'll help. That'll be one less stage that we have to pay for. There we go. And just catch that little corner bit, and then the bit that we missed in the middle. But I love this plough. This is absolutely fantastic. Brand new from Arm Team. they've actually put out some really awesome mods for console players. A lot of them are sort of PC mods that have been converted over, but you know, I don't care about that. You know, the fact that we have these mods and that they work really well is brilliant. You know, really grateful to them for actually you know, taking the time and effort to put these things out on console. So I mean, they've given us, you know, some great trailers. They've given us the Bobcat. They've given us this new plow. They gave us the New Hollands, which can double up as a Fiat Agri. I'm trying to think what else they've given us. They've given us quite a few different things. Oh, they gave us the balers, the Krona balers, the Krona Squadro. You know, a lot of different mods. You know, quite a lot actually, a lot more than I thought. First thinking about it, they've released an awful lot of stuff, and I really hope that continues with Farming Sim 19. That they continue to support console users, because while I can't speak for everybody, I know that me and, you know, myself and a lot of other console users do really appreciate the work that they've been doing. And same with Black Sheep as well. Obviously, snuck out the gooseneck extension for pickup trucks, which they didn't announce on their website. So I mean, those of us that paid attention to testing knew that it was in testing, but didn't know who it was by. It turns out it was Black Sheep. So really, again, thank you, Black Sheep, for giving console players another great mod, because the Americans in particular have been screaming since day one of this game for gooseneck trailers. And we finally have one. Admittedly, there's only a couple of months of this game left, really, before 19 comes out, but we actually do have one, which is great to see. And you know, now that we know that we have these sort of mods on Farming Sim 17, hopefully it won't take too much to convert these for 19 and have these available much sooner in the life of Farming Sim 19. So that's a good sign of things to come, I hope. And we have plenty of work for us to get on with. So we have, in terms of new fields, 5 new fields that are going to need cultivating and ploughing. And they are fields 51, 53, 54, all with crops on, as you can see. We've got canola on 51 and 54, and barley on 53. By ploughing these the way we are, you can see that we are getting that stage of fertiliser. And obviously you can see the dark bits around the border where there was no crop planted, where we're not getting a fertiliser state. But everything where there was something planted, you can see that we are removing that plough state and gaining a stage of fertiliser, which is awesome. We need to do the same on 53 and 54. And then also we need to do the same up here with our 2 chaffing fields, fields 5 and 6. They also have canola and barley planted on them. So again, that's more stuff that needs us to cultivate and plough in, so that we can get a free stage of fertiliser and we can start getting our corn planted as soon as the ground warms up enough for that. So a lot of work to get done, and we're not going to get it all done today at all by any stretch of the imagination, but we will make as much progress on this as we can. And I'm going to leave a worker to actually carry this on for me for a bit, because I'm going to head back to the farm and I'm going to start doing some maintenance on the remaining vehicles that need it. So we finished working away on our sprayer. That is now fully sort of overhauled, ready for the new year. We'll get that put away, and while I was away, just finalising the repair work on this, I also got a phone call. The surveyor has arrived. He's now waiting for us down on the orchard. So we're going to go and have a little chat with him and sort of find out if that ground is going to be suitable for actually building a building of some kind on, or whether the ground is going to be a bit too soft. And got to make sure that those foundations that we put down are actually going to stay, and the building that we put up is going to stay up and not fall down. So I'm going to make my way over to the orchard, and I will see you once we get there. Oh look, the sky's brightening up. The sun is starting to come out. Fantastic stuff. You can just see in our rear view mirror, there's our Puma. It's just over the hill now, but our Puma is busy working away. There he is. And if we look out the other window, well, we'll have to go out external. There you can see is our plough busily chewing up the field there as well. But there is the surveyor. You can see he's already got his van open and the equipment is out, no doubt, doing a little bit of surveying. So let's have a little chat with this guy and see if this ground is going to be suitable for building a shelter. Well, there we go. That's excellent news. It turns out that we can actually build a shelter in this area just here. So the construction team will be out tomorrow to start prepping the ground and creating the building that is going to be nestled here in the corner of our little orchard space. So he's going to get his gear packed up and head back into Salem, and then arrange for the crew to be out tomorrow. We're going to head back to the farm and just make sure that the rest of our tools that need to be worked on are done and ready, and then we'll resume control of our plough and continue manually ploughing our fields. We've only got a couple of passes left to do on this field, but we still have 4 other fields that need to be ploughed after this one, so you know, a lot of ploughing still needs to be done, and you can see how quickly we're able to get this work done, you know, thanks to this brand new case plough. An expensive investment. It's an extra 80 grand that I hadn't initially budgeted for, but I think it's a worthwhile investment, you know, and if we are able to take on any more fields, then we're going to need it again, so it's definitely something that is worth us having. Plus, we can create fields with this as well, so if we do end up joining other fields together or just extending the borders of fields slightly, then we can use that tool, this tool, for that as well. It really does give us a great degree of flexibility with the way that we can approach our fields going forward. It's kind of nice to just do a little bit of ploughing like this. You know, we didn't have any ploughing in this series because I got it all done before before we started episode 1, and that was all carried out by the previous farmer, and then we kind of moved in with that work already done for us. We didn't do spring at all either, so this is going to be our first proper spring. We joined at the end of day 6 when we first got started and went straight into summer, so we haven't had a lot of planting on this farm. It's all been kind of taken care of before, you know, before we moved on it. But this year we're going to have to get a lot more involved. You know, we're going to have to get everything done right from the beginning. So I'm really looking forward to working our fields for year 2. We've got, with these new fields that we've acquired, we're going to be in for some really good yields. You know, we're going to get 3 or 4 good fields worth of soybean. We're going to get some nice corn. We need to get a corn header. So we need to get in touch with Mannings and arrange for one of those to be delivered to our farm. That's going to be an extra, I'm not sure how much, maybe an extra 30 or 40 grand for the corn header. Still not sure whether to go for a case header, which will be a fixed header and therefore need a trailer, or whether to go for one of the case R headers, which will need, which will be foldable and therefore won't need a trailer at all. We can just fold that up and drive that on the front of our combine. Got a little bit of thinking to do as to which way I want to go in that respect. I'm toying with the idea of going with the actual proper case header, but having said that, I mean, it's quite big, and it does open up the issue of where do we store it. We don't have many long-sized bays, and there aren't really that many places around the farm where we could maybe build a shelter. That is something I have been toying with as well, is constructing a shelter purely for the combine and the tools that go with it. So if we do that, we're going to need to find a suitable area of land for that. And I did toy with the idea of perhaps constructing a depot here on this land, but I wanted to use that as an orchard because our expenses are quite high, and are only going to get higher as we bring in bigger and more expensive equipment. So to help really counterbalance that. You know, the orchard is there for us to make money and also to eat up the costs that we incur on a daily basis. And I don't really want to use up too much of that space for anything other than for the orchard itself. So it's going to cost us a lot of money to get that orchard fully up and running, and it's going to take a lot of time as well, but we will be able to get that done. So the question then becomes, where could we possibly erect a shelter that wouldn't eat into our field space, you know, too drastically? And I'm thinking maybe if we acquired field 42, maybe we could build it there in that sort of grass area, sort of in between fields 43, 34 and our joined field of 32 and 33. In that corner there, maybe we could stick a big shed up there and have our combine in there, because then it's not too far from all of our fields. It's kind of centrally positioned within all of them, not too far to go to get to any of them, and that would free up a bit more space in the workshop, you know, or the main shed. It would also free up, you know, an extra bay in our sort of long vehicle storage, where we currently have our truck and our trailers. You know, one of those bays is eaten up by our header on the trailer because it's just too long to fit inside, you know, a building with any degree of comfort. With a dedicated combine building, we could actually put it inside there quite comfortably out the way, and also have the corn header in there on a trailer as well, and still have plenty of space to move around, and maybe even stick in an extra bit of equipment if needed. So yeah, I'll have to think about that. That's something we could potentially look at. I'm pretty much giving up, I think, on getting ownership of field 50 this year. It's, you know, with the extra expense of this plow, that's 80 grand. You know, we were able to recoup a little bit of money, but it's still expensive. Plus, we're going to have to pay the costs of, you know, a construction crew to come in to do, you know, the building for us for our orchard area. It's just, I'm starting to wonder whether or not we can financially afford to add field 50 as well. We still haven't been able to get hold of Mr. Young, of Alex, you know, who owns the field. He is unreachable at the moment, so maybe he's on vacation. We can have a chat with him when he comes back and see what he wants to do. But if he wants a lot of money, you know, then we're probably going to have to say, you know, we'll try again in a year's time and kind of pass on that option. But I would really like to get that field, if at all possible. I'm just worried about, you know, the fact that we're looking at spending an extra 230 to 240,000 on a field, and with the plough that's now over 300,000. And it's, you know, our money keeps getting whittled away, and my plans to try and keep the farm at a manageable level of debt are starting to unravel just a little bit. We're currently over 500,000 because we're still waiting for the right window to sell our soybeans, and obviously these fields did cost us quite a bit of money that we have already bought. So that's an expense. We've got the expense of the cows coming in around the same time we'll be selling the soybeans, so they can kind of cancel each other out, and we'll obviously recoup some field money. But we've still got to pay to set the orchard up, and that's going to be expensive. You know, the trees aren't cheap. You know, the crew isn't going to be cheap to hire. It's definitely going to cost us quite a bit to get everything up and running. So, do I join these fields actually? That's something we could look at. We could look at joining 53 and 54, making a really long field. Nah, I think we'll keep them separate. It gives us a bit more flexibility. I mean, we're probably going to end up putting soybean on both of these two fields anyway, but it gives us a bit more flexibility in terms of not just crop choice, but also when it comes to working the fields. If we have too long a pass, then, you know, hiring a worker to run the combine, he's not going to complete a single pass before he fills up, and that might be fine going in one direction, but when he turns around and goes against the crop and his pipe is into the field, then I can't unload him. So it would slow down our harvesting operation. So just for that thin little strip between the two fields, we'll leave them separated, and it'll just make things easier when it comes to actually working these fields, I think. Time is moving swiftly on. As you can see, it's about 5:30. Manning's is now open again. Sam has returned from Salem and has picked up a little extra something for me. So I'm getting rid of my weeder and I'm replacing it with something a little bit different. That is now ready and waiting for me at Manning, so I'll run away to collect it before he closes at 6 o'clock. Got workers in the field still busily working away on our 2 fields at the moment. We've almost done ploughing field 53, just another couple of passes left on that one, and field 49 again, just a couple of passes left on that one as well. So we will be able to hopefully get field 54 ploughed before close of play tonight, and then we'll do fields 5 and 6 tomorrow. And what I'll do is I'll also cultivate field 35 that you can see coming up just in front of us here. We'll get that cultivated, get that oilseed radish off the ground and cultivated into the soil so that that's ready for planting tomorrow, along with this field just here. And that'll open up just a few extra possibilities for our planting tomorrow in terms of what crops we do and in what order we do them. So I will see you when we get to Manning's. And here we are. So we'll drop the weeder just here. Sam's going to buy this direct from us. He already has somebody lined up to purchase that, so we don't have to worry about trying to find a buyer. He's already got someone lined up for that. And this is what we're buying. It's a smaller working width, but we have a weeder slash planter slash roller kind of combination here. So this has a good sized sort of seed tank. We can get some grass and oilseed radish planted using this, which is going to be great for turning over our fields. We can weed them as well, and there are other variants of the SMS roller here. So there's one that will actually just roll fields out completely and remove them back to base plough state. There's various different versions of the weeder. There's 3 different variants of this, and then there's also a cultivator variant of this as well, which doesn't have the seed box. So we've got quite a few different kind of good options there. Let's see how much Sam is going to give us for our weeder. 19,000. That's quite nice. That almost completely pays for our roller weeder just here. That cost me 23,000. So that's kind of cool. And I love this thing. You know, ever since it came out, I've been enjoying this thing. It has its own camera as well, which is kind of, you know, kind of weird. You can actually have a camera that focuses on the tool itself. Now, we're used to seeing that with front loader tools. I'm not used to seeing it with, you know, sort of rear attached equipment before, rear implements. So that's a little unusual, a little unnerving. The first time you kind of come across that, it can catch you by surprise. But the great thing about this is the animations on it. I absolutely adore this thing. When it first came out, which is I think the same time as Upper Lusatia, I think it came out on the same day as Upper Lusatia. I tried this thing out on that map and it was absolutely brilliant. I love the fact that the animations on it roll beautifully when it unfolds and folds up, and all of these rollers roll independently. So often we've seen in the past with things that, you know, roll like this, when you've got multiple moving parts, they all kind of move at the same speed. So if you have something that you raise, everything still spins at the same rate. On this, the rollers actually roll independently of each other, so they'll all move at different speeds, depending on how you're taking a corner, or whether one's being folded up. You'll actually see it stop spinning while the other one is still kind of moving, which is kind of cool. I do like that. So we're going to use this to weed our grass fields. So we're actually going to try this out on both of our grass fields. We're going to use it on the one that's here at the main farm, and then we'll also use it on field 24 over by the sheep as well. And this will be a nice flexible piece of equipment, because we'll be able to, as I say, plant grass and obviously radish with this. And we can't plant grass anywhere at the moment because our current main seeder, our YP2425A, does not plant grass. It will plant everything else, but it won't plant grass. So if we ever need to put grass back in, which we may well need to do depending on the construction work that we do over by the orchard site, then we may well need to be able to put some grass back down again, and this will give us the opportunity to do that, as well as being able to sort of fertilise and weed our fields as well. So a very flexible piece of equipment that fills the little gap that our YP2425A has by not being able to plant grass. And I'm going to put this straight into operation and put the first sort of weeding stage down on our grass field here at the main farm. And then this will stay here overnight, and then we'll take this back to the sheep tomorrow and weed the sheep over there. And then we'll send another tractor to come and collect the implement and take it back. But this thing is absolutely brilliant. I do love this thing. So as you can see, each arm operates independently. Well, I say independently, you know, moves independently. They're not linked at the same rate. And the rolling sort of rollers themselves are absolutely brilliant. But the only downside to this, as I say, is a 6-meter working width rather than a 12-meter working width. So we are going to end up having to work, you know, twice as hard on the fields. But for the flexibility that it provides us, and the fact that I've always wanted to do some rolling on grass fields, it just kind of makes it worthwhile, I think. And I love the way the rollers pick up dirt as well. It almost looks like grass that's being picked up off the fields, even though it's actually mud, because of the way the sunlight is shining on it. But very, very cool. I do like this. As I say, I played about with this the day it came out, and I knew straight away I was going to put it into this series. It was just a question of finding the right time to do it. And yeah, seeing as we're rebooting everything for winter, for the start of the new year, this seemed like the opportune time to do that. Especially now that we have our new seeder and we can't plant grass, and we may well need to have that ability. This covers that for us as well. Obviously, we could have done that with the 9-meter version of the weeder from Einbach, the Aerostat, I think it is, but that is very expensive. It's like 85,000. So it just wasn't a viable option financially. It was just way too expensive. And of course, we could have bought a small seeder that would be able to plant grass, or just lease a seeder. But you know, I figured, yeah, let's mix things up a bit. Let's use a roller, and let's use this awesome new APV roller that's just recently come out. So we're going to work it to just quickly. The worker won't work ourselves. We have to do this manually, you see, because you know the worker's trying to plant because we have a seed box, which is the only frustration with this thing. You have to kind of do the weeding manually. But we'll stop this in a second. We'll jump over and we'll reallocate our workers so that we can get those next 2 fields done before it gets too late at night. So if I stop here on this corner, there we go. Let's quickly run back over here. We'll get this staff member up and running on our radish, get that cultivated into the ground, ready for tomorrow, and we'll also move our plough, if that's finished, over to field 54 and get that field ploughed as well. Starting to get quite late here on the farm, as you can see. It's just turned 9 o'clock at night. Busy rolling away on our grass field here. Most of it's done. Done the the big section that runs all the way down there, so I'm over halfway through. I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through the field. Got a couple of passes along the bottom edge, a couple of passes along the top edge, and a couple of passes on that side edge as well. So not too much more to go. Maybe another half an hour or so of rolling, or an hour or so of rolling in real time, and this field will be completely done. Our workers are still busy on their respective fields. You can see the plough on field 54 started at the bottom, so he's almost done now. Just a few more passes on there, not too long for him left, and about halfway through field 30 with the cultivator turning in those radishes. So the main bulk of the work that we wanted to get done today has been done. Just got these last 3 fields that need to be finished off, and those tasks are well in hand, as you can see. So tomorrow we'll be doing some planting, and we'll start planting on fields 30 and 35, the two over by our sort of equipment shed. We'll get those 2 fields planted. We'll probably plant on field 43 and 34 and 32, depending on how the temperatures are. Obviously, that's the other thing. You know, we'll be inside the windows, but if the temperatures are still too cold, then we do run the risk of the crops failing. So I will hope that it warms up a bit tomorrow. As you can see on the predicted temperatures, we're looking at a low of 3 air temperature tomorrow, and even though it's now 9 o'clock at night, you can see it's definitely warming up. It's 5 degrees, which is still warmer than it was this morning, and it did get higher than that earlier in the day. It was at least 6 a few hours ago, so I'm hoping that the ground temperatures are going to go up again overnight, and tomorrow we'll be in a good position to actually start work on a lot of planting. If not, we've still got fields that we can work to make sure that they're all prepped and ready. We still have our other 2 soybean fields that are going to need cultivating. On top of that, I don't think there's anything else that needs cultivating now. You know, in terms of cleaning off the old crop. We can, of course, cultivate the fields that we've ploughed today, and we will be starting work on the orchard as well. The construction team will be turning up tomorrow to lay down the foundations and start constructing the shelter in the top corner of field 52. And we also have fields 5 and 6 that need to be ploughed as well. So there is still a lot of work that we can get done tomorrow, even if we can't start planting. There's less of a time constraint, because the fields at 5 and 6 are going to have corn, and we need temperatures approaching 10 degrees before we can plant corn, and we've got to wait till day 3 as well at the earliest for the planting window for corn to open up. And our soybean fields, again, we've got to wait till day 3 and temperatures over around 10 degrees before we can start planting that. So there's no immediate hurry for those. As long as we can get the wheat, the barley and the canola planted nice and quickly, we'll be in pretty good shape, I think. So I'm going to call it an episode here. We'll get this finished off camera, and then when we come back tomorrow, as I say, we've got a whole list of jobs that we can get started with, and potentially some planting as well. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I will be back with some more Lone Oak very soon.